This video is a little different than my typical videos. However, it's very special to me. It is an interview with my father. I've been wanting to get this on video for a while about a story that stopped the drive-in theater by seeing an unidentified flying object that everyone stopped to see. And I have some other historical data to add after you hear my dad's thoughts on this. And his name is Jim, the Candyman, my dad. And he's always told me the story about when him and my sister were at the drive-in theater and saw an unidentified flying object. What was it that you saw?
Well, we were at the drive-in theater, and all of a sudden, everything came to a standstill. That's back when the drive-in theaters were really busy. And I don't even remember what movie we were watching. Everything came to a standstill because everybody started getting out of their cars and looking at this object in the sky. And what the heck is that? So it wasn't moving, and a lot of people were out of their cars trying to figure out what the heck it is. It was very bright, and we had quite a conversation going amongst cars and talking about it. And
did the movie stop?
Huh?
Did the movie theater stop and everybody was out looking at it?
Well, I know everybody watched. So
How big was it?
pretty good size.
Size of a football field or size half of a football field?
Half the size.
And how many people were at the theater?
Oh, it was a lot.
A lot.
We all had our attention on that object. And all of a sudden, it was like a flash. It was gone.
It was gone.
Just like that.
Oh, what color was it? Had any color to it?
No color. It was just bright.
Just really bright?
Yeah.
Was it as big as the drive-in theater screen?
Oh, it's hard to tell because we were a long ways away.
Wow.
And
How long did it stay there?
quite a while.
Really?
Yeah.
I know that you and Brenda always talk about it. I wish I could have seen it. I would love to know about it.
It was something to see because we checked it all out. There was no anybody at that time. They would have told us that there was something in the sky.
Yeah, of course.
And there was nothing there.
Wow.
Gone.
And have you ever seen anything like that since?
Uh-uh.
Wow. Well, we'll talk more about this later. We got to go for now. So, thank you. This is my dad. I'm a daddy's girl. He's the candy man, and I love him more than anything in the whole world. I love you, Dad.
Good, I love you.
So now, a few more fun facts on why would a UFO be in Hastings, Nebraska. And I'm hoping to get an interview with my sister as well. That she's told me many times, but in her words. And by doing this, I remembered hearing about this explosion, and I thought, I wonder if that explosion happened during that time. So I found this article, and it talks about building bombs on the plains. And it goes into the Nebraska's efforts and the defense industries that created thousands of jobs for the Nebraskans and brought additional workers to the state. And it goes on to talk about the largest ammunition depot in the nation was at Hastings. On June 10th, 1942, the War Department approved the building of a $45 million naval ammunition depot southeast of Hastings. The ammunition depot site was chosen because it was halfway between the Atlantic and Pacific coasts. It manufactured and stored bombs, mines, rockets, 40-millimeter shells, and 6-inch shells. The Hastings Naval Ammunition Depot, NAD, supplied 40% of the Navy's ammunition during the war. Explosion was the biggest danger at the Hastings NAD. At least 4 major explosions occurred, killing 21 people. The first accident left a crater 550 feet long and 220 feet wide and 50 feet deep. The blast caved in the roof on the Harvard, Nebraska High School, 15 miles away. The blast was felt as far away as Omaha, almost 150 miles away.
the plains was considered an excellent location for munitions and ordnance plants. Here in Hastings, Nebraska, the Naval Ammunition Depot, NAD, assembled bombs.
To build the depot itself, the Navy bought 48,000 acres of land, which is an awful lot of good prime farmland. This building was the first one of the permanent Navy buildings to be finished. And in it, the commanding officer, the executive officer, and all of the other administrators had their offices. In the loading buildings, the various shifts of workers filled shells of various kinds. There were shells, there were bombs, mines, explosives of various kinds, various sizes. There were 200 miles of freight lines, freight tracks on the base, or there were at the time that it was in operation, because a lot of the stuff had to be moved from one place to another. The people who worked at the Naval Depot during the war represented all kinds of professions and occupations in peacetime.
Well, I didn't expect this rabbit hole to take me down so many different ways of finding out interesting information about Hastings, Nebraska. Recession slows plan to build bunker data centers. This article is from November 29, 2009. And data, of course, as we know with big tech and AI algorithms, all of that. How interesting this article is, especially when I get to the end of it. It goes on to say that Hastings, the precise spacing between the mounds of earth that decorate miles of central Nebraska farmland east of Hastings, hint at their original purpose as naval ammunition bunkers during World War II. After the base closed in 1966, more than half of the 49,000 acres became a USDA lab. Even with Google and Yahoo opening up new data centers in the Omaha area, just a couple hours east of the bunkers, tech heavyweights that sell the computing equipment used in data centers demand for data centers to grow because President Barack Obama's proposed financial services reforms will likely add new record-keeping requirements. The push for more electronic healthcare records also will lead to demand for more data centers because more server space will be needed. Prairie Bunkers has the rights to 184 bunkers that stretch over 5 miles. The bunkers the company is marketing now are at the eastmost edge of the old ammunition depot, farthest away from the munitions were produced when the land was part of the nation's largest inland naval ammunition depot. The company believes the bunkers will make perfect vaults to protect data centers. Data is more valuable than gold, and we intend to make sure that we treat it that way. So I found this rabbit hole or deep dive quite interesting, with it beginning with just a fun story about a UFO at a drive-in movie theater that my dad and sister and many people saw back in the 1960s or 70s. And I had no idea it would lead me into this history of what a lot of times people say the UFOs are attracted to with nuclear sites and ammunition and that sort of thing. Now, we don't know if these unidentified flying objects are from, who knows where, or just really well-equipped machinery from other countries. However, what I do find interesting is that with Project Bluebeam and with all that's going out in the news, it's very interesting. And the article explaining how data is more important or valuable than gold, and everything that's going on with big tech. We have a lot of distractions, and a lot of misinformation and disinformation. It makes it very hard to believe anything with cognitive dissonance. However, I am so grateful that you have watched this. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, share, subscribe, and I have more fun things coming your way, more lighthearted things as well. And I'll just end with this little clip that discusses UFO disclosures and see what you think.
It directs the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense and the heads of other agencies, to disclose what they know about UFOs within 180 days. So what are they going to tell us? Nick Pope is an expert on this subject. He's former UK Minister of Defense. He's an official of the UK Ministry of Defense. He joins us tonight. Nick, thanks so much for coming on. What do you think we're likely to learn? Will they obey is the first question. Will they actually tell us what they know? And if they do, what will they tell us?
Well, this is going to be a very interesting year for UFOs, that's for sure, Tucker. And yes, they will definitely have to produce this report within 180 days, so we're going to get this by late June. It has to be unclassified, but can have a classified annex. So the answer, what the public will get, maybe not a lot, but what the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Armed Services Committee will get, hopefully a whole lot more, and hopefully some answers to these questions that we've been asking for months now. What is going on in our airspace? What has the US Navy been encountering? And what is it that has been in these classified briefings that we know some senators have already had?
What do you think they're likely to reveal?
Well, it's interesting because Senator Marco Rubio said he would almost rather this was alien, because if it turns out to be China or Russia, then we're in big trouble, because the sorts of speeds and maneuvers and accelerations that these objects are capable of really is concerning. And I hope that we're going to find out about that. It's interesting, just before Christmas, there were some leaks. Sitting in Office of Naval Intelligence is an organization called the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. They're probably the ones drafting this report. Some leaks suggest they have not ruled out the extraterrestrial hypothesis.
Yeah, and there may be physical evidence of the existence of these craft, whatever they are. Have you heard that?
Yes, I've heard talk of so-called metamaterials, and I think this report really will have to disclose. I mean, what the Intelligence Committee want to know is everything in government is fragmented. They want to know who knows what. They want a single official named and put in charge of all this. And this is going to include FBI, by the way, as well as the military and the intelligence community. We want answers.
Agency stopped including any sensitive material, including the unidentified flying object matters, even though Reagan was personally fascinated by the UFOs. The Strategic Defense Initiative, Star Wars. Defense insiders knew, however, that the real targets were off-world spacecraft and not Soviet missiles. In fact, Dr. Edward Teller, father of the atom bomb, wrote a famous memo to Reagan advocating SDI. In it, he wrote, "A menace greater than the nuclear arm race exists. It does not originate here on Earth."
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Well, if you've made it this far in my video, thank you so much. How does this all connect together? All of the connecting dots, puzzle pieces, deep dives and rabbit holes? Well, big data is worth gold. And who knew that in the middle of America, in Nebraska, that the UFOs, or unidentified flying objects, could be here because of what has happened here in history. And data is now being mined in the bunkers that are in this area. You need to ask yourself, who owns the patents to data, to your data, and what a sovereign citizen is? I'll be surprised if this video uploads. However, the truth is out there, and it will set us free. I know that there's much more I want to cover with different witness accounts on different things that have been seen by the unknown. I know many do not believe in space, and many believe aliens are demons. I'm not one to say one or the other, because as a journalist, I believe in letting you, the viewer, make that decision for yourself. I try to be unbiased with all of the misinformation, disinformation, and cognitive dissonance that we face every day. Thank you so much for being here. Please know that your PayPal donations, your support on my channel, your comments, your kindness, your likes or dislikes, and constructive criticism means so much to me. Remember, never underestimate the power of kindness. I hope that someone is kind to you, and please be kind. More on this subject, much more. And until then, thank you once again. I have my own stories that eventually I might just share or tell. Please be sure and check out my other videos on Project Bluebeam and Communications Part 1 and 2 and Phenomena. I've covered many subjects, and I hope that you enjoy my channel. Thank you so much for subscribing and for being here.